WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Body cam footage showing New York correctional officers fatally beating black inmate Robert Brooks has been released. Attorney General Letitia James called the video shocking and disturbing. Brooks, handcuffed on an infirmary bed, died from his injuries the next day. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu defended Elon Musk's role in President-elect Trump's administration, saying Musk's wealth prevents conflicts of interest and praising his business acumen for addressing economic issues. President Biden expressed condolences for the South Korean plane crash. He offered U.S. assistance for the tragedy, which left only 2 survivors out of 181 passengers. And the New England Patriots are set to receive the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. They are tied with the Giants, Browns, and Titans for the worst record at 3-13, but would get the top pick based on strength of schedule. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a huge congratulations to all of our educators, students, and families of New Orleans for their continuous academic growth. School performance scores have been released from the state. For the first time in many years, there are no failing schools in New Orleans Public Schools. As a district, our performance increased by 4 points. In addition, Orleans Parish now exceeds pre-COVID school performance score for all students by 6.2 points. When you see a teacher, school leader, or student, be sure to show them some love.
Good morning,
Wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Wake up, New Orleans. Yeah, but I know you're already up, right? You're not New Year's celebrating yet. And I know you got over Christmas because, but Dr. White now in the house. Doc, how you doing? Man, good morning to you, too. A little foggy out there, guys, so be careful while you're moving around. And look, a little tip from Dr. White and I. If you're late.
Already late.
Don't get mad at nobody.
I don't care how you get there.
Just
get here if you can. You need to get there, baby. Like, yeah, you're already late, so relax.
Yeah, don't get mad at nobody who's taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't want to be late to work and early to the graveyard, so like just calm down.
Or mess somebody else's day up, right?
Yeah.
That person who's like lollygagging, they going the speed limit.
Yeah.
They on time.
Yeah, and you trying to beat the GPS.
They don't frustrate yourself enough. Just come up with a new story. I'm not even going to say a lie because it got to be a good story. A new story.
Mm-hmm.
When you get this, you can let them know that the last time you talked about your dog got sick and you had to rush your dog to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
This time, use something like the cat got in the goldfish bowl and the kids was distraught because the cat ate the fish, and don't use the same story.
I just say I'm running late. Life be lifing. It happens.
Right.
Your alarm didn't go off, or you snoozed it one too many times.
Yeah, an alarm did go off, and you said,
so you
I ain't gonna say what you said, but you said it.
Yeah, but I mean the best part about it is you're awake. You woke up.
You are awake. So, how was your Christmas?
I stayed inside the whole time. I did not leave
Really?
my house. I stayed in bed the whole day.
Man, we went by my mother-in-law, then we went by my sister Nettie, and till late that night. It was really, 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 really nice to see the kids and my Sage and KJ and my grandkids. It was spent the whole day around family and friends.
Yeah. Well, I didn't need. I mean, listen, I enjoy actually being.
Well, next
inside.
time, next time we're gonna send somebody to get there. we're gonna send somebody. Hey, come on.
That's
over.
typically how I end up coming outside. Somebody's looking for me, but other than that, you can actually find me inside. 9.9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yesterday, I enjoyed the KF2 sent Aretha, B. Mike, and their folk, man. They had the Kwanzaa celebration with Malik.
Studio
And-
B.
Yeah, and it was Ujama. So I was,
Yeah.
man, it was really nice. It was
Setup is incredible.
really
Mhm.
packed too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tell folk all the time, man, that's, when I say I'm getting older, I say, man, sometimes I say drop their getting, right? Because one of the artists there found out, so I'm there to be one of the speakers
Mhm.
and talk about community and Ujama. And one of the featured artists was my niece, Marley.
Oh,
And I didn't even know.
it's New Orleans. Like you literally like what a half a degree of separation from
Yeah.
relationships with folk. Oh, it's just
And
it's
so her
New
mom
Orleans. That's
runs up
not
to me
shocking.
and her mom says, you know who's playing that? I was like, who? She's like, Marley. I said, no way. I said, where Marley? Marley's like, oh Lord.
Yeah. So I did a second date. Shout out to B Mike and,
Yeah, oh,
and Malik
absolutely,
Bartholomew
yeah.
and everybody over at
Yeah.
Studio B for putting together Kwanzaa. But I did the
Right.
second night with Kuji Chagalia.
Uh-huh.
And the featured artist was History Ecclesiastes, which is a Sally's
Yeah,
son.
Sally's. Yeah.
Yes. So it
Yeah.
was really dope. Really, really good experience.
Yeah, it was a great talk, and I appreciate Malik's questioning. I had prepared a speech because when Aretha,
So did I.
Yeah, but-
It found out it was
and-
interview style.
and found out it was interview style.
Yeah.
But it was really, really Malik got into it. We dealt with what is community, right? What is cooperative economics? And of course, for our community, there are two types: Susu, which is West African
Mhm.
and Caribbean, which talks about shared sense of market and shared sense of wealth, and the savings actually go back to people.
Mhm.
And then Ujama, which is also cooperative economics, where you build and control.
Mhm.
And then, the issue with us is control. We don't have control when you talk about the market or capitalism anyway. But he also talked about the value of black politicians. So he asked me that question. He was like, where is the value in the elected officials? And I appreciate that question because I was able to give him the history of accomplishment,
Mhm.
which is we forget that we contributed. And people are so anti-politics. And then market forces are always used against black women and black men in politics. They target us, right? Especially if they want to do a takeover or they want to diminish our contribution.
Mhm.
So I had a chance to talk about history and the accomplishment of great African-American men and women
Mhm.
who were public officials. So
Well,
just to debunk
yeah.
the theory.
I think so. The first night of Kwanzaa, I did Kwanzaa on Bayou Road, and the first night of Kwanzaa talks about unity, right? And so
Mhm.
I was talking about the failure of black leadership in terms of black community with black people,
Mhm.
but I framed it as an in-house conversation. These are not conversations that I would have in mixed company, but I think that when we're around each other, it is our duty to be honest with each other. Like if we're going to talk about the issues, we should collectively talk about them in a way that we look at where our weaknesses are and then we talk about how to strengthen them.
Mhm.
That's an in-house conversation.
Correct.
If I'm in a different setting, that's not the tone of the conversation because that's not your business in my mind, right? We can hold each other accountable privately and still publicly put a united front together so that we work in the best interests of our community. That is the goal.
All right. 504-582-9422. How was your, you got a chance to talk to folk a couple of days after Christmas, but
Yes.
how was your weekend? What are you going to get out of the way in these next couple of days? And if you're going to have a New Year's resolution, what is it going to be? You do New Year's
I do.
resolutions? Yeah.
Listen, I think all of it is wrapped in just trying to be a better version of yourself. You know what I mean? I'm not one that's like, I'm not eating this for whatever. It's always like internal things that I'm trying to work on. There's a very, I don't know. I just want my family to be more of a family. I think when my grandmother died, which I think happens in a lot of our families, I think when she died, there was no real effort anymore to be communal with each other. So it's like everybody's kind of doing their own little thing with the little family that they've created, and there's really no opportunity to truly unify together. There was an intent to go to Texas during Thanksgiving when my grandmother was living.
Yeah,
Everybody did it
was
for
part
her.
of the agenda. You know, you were going to get
Yes.
together by somebody's house
Yes.
at some time during
Yes.
the year. Yeah, that was the conversation. I buried my cousin Michael a couple Fridays ago,
Hmm.
and I come from a large family, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mother is one of 10.
Yes.
My grandparents, I think, 14 and 15.
Mhm.
My mom's first cousin had 16, 17 kids.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's brother had 11. My mom's brother had 11. Her sister had 12. We
Y'all
had
was just
5.
double digit up, huh?
Yeah. So, this also was something was wrong with my mom because my mama told my dad, no,
Hmm.
stop.
So, I mean, but I think that's what it's
But
always, you know.
But we see each other at funerals
Yeah.
now.
That's where I was going with it because a friend of mine just died. His funeral is the 4th. And then another friend of mine that I worked with at Head Start, she also passed, Miss Jerry. Condolences to her
Yeah.
family as well.
Yeah.
Her funeral was also on the 4th. And it's like, okay, when Bo passed, Bo is my age. Bo died. He's 44 years old. And it's
Talking about the great bull.
Bo. Well, Bo, we call him Bo. His name is Wilbert Uriah
Wilbur
Reese.
Uriah.
Yeah, and he called himself Bo Nose
Yeah.
because he did everything. He could ball. He could move you. He could fix stuff. Like he just did.
Well, street
He was
legend.
hustle man.
Street legend, yeah.
Like,
Street legend.
and he just died. And it's like you know people are going to die, but it's like folk you're 44. Like you just don't expect that sort of stuff to happen.
That is an interesting thing now over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up. And I've talked to people under 60, right,
Mhm.
who are dying now, 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
And it's been so much of it. And so for me, when I look at the pressures of life, right? You know, the new word is pressure now. It was vibe a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And now you hear women say, oh, he should have knew I was pressure when he met me, right? So
Pressure.
that's a new word. But the pressures in life
Mhm.
for young folk now,
Yeah.
you know, which is crazy, right? And then you and I were talking when we came in about what Jeff Bezos is doing people, right? You have the richest business in the world, and you're having a $600 million
Wedding to your former mistress.
wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and your comment about your workers going on strike for better conditions was that, well, it just gives me an opportunity to perfect my robots in there.
Because that's how folk like him look at it. There's no real buy-in with the humanity of the people at the bottom because he don't see them as people. They're just worker bees, right? They have a job to do. They should just do it and be grateful that he's paying them to do it
But
because he could pay them less.
But let me ask you this
They
question.
need to be grateful.
He
That's
can't-
what he thinks.
He can't be as successful as he is without us.
Well, he does not see it that way because the us he sees, he'll just replace you. Like you want to complain about it, then I'll find somebody else to do it. That's just his thinking.
But for his business model is a simple solution, right?
Mhm.
Especially if we weren't so conditioned.
Yes.
All we would have to do is order 30% less stuff from him and get our butts up, get in our car, walk to the store,
Then
drive
they'll-
to the store, buy it, and he's humbled.
But then they'll create another COVID. Because that's literally where
Hold
I'm
on.
just,
Hold
I'm,
on. Hold on.
I'm
Wait. Naru, where's the Twilight Zone music? Come on.
Like, I'm just-
where the music?
I'm
go?
just saying,
Let's
let's
do
go
that.
there. Like,
Where the music? Dum 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 dum.
that's what's going to
This-
happen.
Tune in, guys. Look, this is from the book of Wyatism,
Hmm.
right? So, talk to me, Doc.
Before-
Because you and I talked before,
Yes.
and you're a conspiracy theorist,
Yes.
right? I used to not be one because I believed OJ did it
Mhm.
until I went through my thing, and then I
Yes.
found out,
This
so it
happens.
ain't got to be about the
No,
truth, right?
no.
So, but you deep rooted.
They will put you back inside and force you to get online in order. Wealthy people are good at staying wealthy by any means necessary, whatever that looks like for them. And so before he lets you cripple his empire, he just gonna call his rich friends and they gonna just decide that it's going to be a shutdown. Everything is going to stop moving. I mean, you don't think?
See, that's why I'm messed up now, right?
I'm just saying.
Because when you go through something, you learn.
Let's be clear here, though, because we don't want folk to think that we don't believe COVID was real. Like I had
Right,
COVID, my son
right.
had COVID. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is they'll find another reason to shelter you in place.
Hold on a second. Wait. 504 582
Have you buy from their rich friends? I mean,
504-582-9422. So, Doc, I want you to help me, right?
Yes.
And I ain't bigging in help, right? So, it wasn't that a monkey got loose and he bit somebody in the jungle on the booty, and then the monkey gave them, and then they took the thing to the lab in China, and then the monkey bit and then it got out. So that ain't how it happened.
no, I think COVID is a very real thing, but I think what happens is we had some very unintelligent people, spreading misinformation, which exacerbated something that could have been, headed off at the pad a long time ago. But because you were out here telling folk it's not real, don't do this, don't do that, it escalated it in a way that it shouldn't have.
So,
which forced us to be inside longer than we needed to be, and people died who shouldn't have died by something that was preventable.
So I want to walk with you there, right? Because I want to stay there with you,
Yeah.
okay?
But I think they saw money in it.
But no,
Yeah, they saw money in it.
We got 2 minutes to go to break, but this is give us a call 504-582-9422. Are y'all conspiracy theorists? How do you believe in population control and economic control? As a historian, you know I love to study history, right? War wasn't just about conquering people. War was about population control, controlling goods, right? We know that as the planet shifts, whether it's Mother Nature has always decided where you could grow, where you can't grow, right? Where you can drink the water. And there isn't an infinite supply of anything, right? And so I'm working with you, right? I'm reading your book, right? So even when you just talk about water, there's a finite amount of water on the planet.
Yes.
There's 1,386 cubic kilometers of water. And only 3% of that is fresh water. We can only access 0.5%. There's only 13,000 cubic kilometers of water in the atmosphere that we have access to. Clouds, air. So that's finite. So look what's happening with water. Now, look what's happening where in certain places, right, that were lush that are now arid.
And you don't think these folk have the ability? They're so wealthy.
But we'd have had this conversation at one time, and I would have thought it was so far-fetched, right? But we do know there's atmospheric control.
Yes.
Now, you can see the clouds. You can do things with satellites. And the planet now is, some would say it's overpopulated now. So if it's overpopulated, and we do know that the 2% doesn't want to give up any percent in terms of resources.
Then what has to happen?
What has to happen is we got to go to break, right? What has to happen is we have to go to break.
Yeah.
And we're reading from the book of Wyattism right now. Dr. Shanta Wyattism, give us a call, especially going into the New Year's, right? What do you think? Because we were talking, me and my wife were talking about currency control, and she reminded me in our conversation that there were only a few families on the planet who controlled the world's currency, wealth.
Yep.
And that's a fact. Right, so how do you manipulate markets and the World Bank and IMF? So it ain't that far-fetched, y'all. This is conspiracy theory. No, I don't even want to say that.
Because it's not.
This is fact.
It's seeing the big picture.
See, big picture
Macro.
Monday.
Yeah.
504-582-9422. Dr. Wyatt OT in the early bird. And happy almost New Year to y'all. WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
You know it's back to your station. And back to that conversation after the break. We'll be back.
This is Monica Pierre along with Sally Ann Roberts Davon, co-host of Your Power is On.
Your Power is On gospel music show is coming on at a new time. Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for music that feeds the spirit. Get your Sunday on.
Right here on WBOK 1230 AM and WBOK1230.com, the station you listen to
All day long.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's today's headlines. The New Orleans Police Department is investigating after a man was shot in the CBD. We're told this happened at Canal and Carondelet Streets just after 2:20 a.m. That's right on the edge of the city's French Quarter. Police say the victim was taken to a nearby hospital. There's no word on that man's condition or a possible suspect at this time. Then local leaders are paying their respects to President Jimmy Carter, who died Sunday at the age of 100. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell says, quote, former President Carter represented the best of the American spirit. His dedication and service to the country, along with his commitment to local communities, will forever stand as a shining legacy in American and world history. And House Majority Leader Steve Scalise celebrated Carter's service in the Navy, the Senate, as Georgia's governor, then in the White House. And you may not know, but Carter and his wife Rosalind helped build homes in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Finally, we are getting a sneak peek of the Louisiana float preparing to roll through Pasadena, California in the Rose Bowl Parade. This year's float theme is Louisiana Saturday Night and will feature a live performance of the popular song. You can see the float and watch the whole parade right here on WDSU. That's New Year's Day beginning at 10 a.m. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com.
Greetings, WBOK family. This is Jason Clark, host of United Way and You. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 12 p.m. when we'll be speaking with Melanie Richardson, co-founder and executive director of Training Grounds, a United Way funded partner. The topic will be the We Play, We Connect Family Resource Hub. Please tune in if you're able. Until then, we only have one life to live, so live United.
Hi, this is Cleveland Spears III, partner at Equity Media and WBOK 1230. Wishing you and yours a happy holidays and...
Hi, this is Cleveland Spears IV. Welcome to the world. Happy holidays.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back, man. We're reading from the Book of Wildest, right? Conspiracy theory. So it's just somebody who pays attention. So what do you think? It's the end of the year, right? And yeah, that is interesting now is that Bezos and Bezos, however you want to, I know it ain't Bezos, and Musk, seem to be the two most powerful men in the world right now.
Listen, I think that I find it's almost comical that Elon Musk is running the country. Like, it's comical.
And he ain't from here.
Because everything that, all of this anti-immigration talk, all of this, you know, we're gonna keep them out, build a wall, you know, all of this foolishness. And now the president-elect is siding with Elon Musk against his advisors with this H-1B visa thing. That's how Elon got here.
And Musk, Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos all went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring.
One at a time.
Or to spend time. Well,
one at a time. They all had their little date.
The moment, yeah.
With the and so
and they're all on the cord now.
Yeah. And I think it's just all of the folk who are pushing this racist rhetoric about, all of these people, that man, he flat out told them that they're not smart enough to be able to keep up with the advances in technology on their own, separate and apart from foreign aid. So he needs certain people here because of their brilliance. And it won't happen if we don't offer them H-1B visas.
He needs to cherry pick international intellect and intelligence so that they can come here to work on his defense contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not going to work.
And his SpaceX, whatever it is that he has.
So the Caucasian men on Twitter were putting their panties in a bunch, and Elon literally told them, "Y'all are not." And this is the nice way. Y'all are not smart enough. But he basically said,
"You ain't smart enough,
y'all too dumb.
You ain't smart enough, bub."
No. He need high power intellect.
Joe the plum.
And when you look at most of the CEOs and most of these major Fortune 500 companies and above, it's foreign leadership at the CEO position. They're Indian, and that's what he wants. So I mean, you can't. Listen, nothing about that is shocking to me. And as a black woman, this ain't none of my business. I don't have it ain't even in my pay grade. I'm small fish. That's big fish fighting over big money. It don't have anything to do with me.
But there's more small fish than big fish when
they
come
are.
together.
But the small fish have been conditioned to believe that they don't have the power. And I feel like I go crazy when I'm talking about stuff that makes perfect sense to me, but by and large, it doesn't seem to resonate with the masses of small fish. And so I just kind of feel insane a lot. And so it's like until the little fish realize that they are the people funding the big fish, we'll never really see any equity in terms of economics across. A few people have all the wealth. You don't think that's an imbalance? And why is that? And we continue to let it be that. Make you, just like you were saying, they made you lazy during COVID, and now all you want to do is log in, push the button, and let your stuff get delivered to you. Upcharging, paying for all these extra fees when you could just go right there to the.
Well, in many cases, we're co-conspirators.
Yeah.
And we're unwilling participants.
All of them are buddies, though. But I mean, did you see the report where all of these stores now having massive closures? Like
Absolutely.
The Walgreens and the CVS. And yeah, all of these stores are
Family
closing
Dollar.
multiple stores.
Target put a stop on growth.
Yeah. That's that shopping online.
They're not building any
Amazon.
more malls. Mm-hmm. Everybody say, "Oh, we want the plaza to come back." They ain't building malls. They ain't building no malls.
No, they're dying. They're slowly dying. Like
Right.
you can walk through certain malls and it feels like a ghost town.
Right.
When I saw the Chick-fil-A leave Oakwood, I said, "Oh yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They're in trouble."
Yeah.
And so it's. I mean, Esplanade was on his last leg for how long? It was just dying.
Yeah.
Slowly. So I don't know. They're not building no malls. That's not. You can shop online now.
And we control that.
Yeah, we control everything. But I also think that's a part of what cripples us too. Like we don't do enough of investing our money in our community at the rate that we should. Our money leaves our community far too fast. It doesn't circulate in our communities
It's
like it should.
7 or 8 hours. Most communities, their money stays in there for days, if not weeks. But in our community, 8 hours. It is what integration did. The black dollar was forced to stay in the black community at one time.
Yeah.
Because
we had a lot of our own stuff, though.
Yeah.
We had the grocery store. We had, just things that were resurrected so you can go and shop like in your community. And it's just not the reality anymore. And we need to try to figure out how to recapture that.
Yeah, we have to figure out how we spend beyond what most people would think would be our means, though.
Yeah.
What we produce doesn't match what we spend. What we earn doesn't match what we spend. So if you can count on, if I could have no income, or I could have that representative to my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can count on yours, I'm good.
Yeah. Yes.
And so what we have done as black people, that was part of my talk and part of my notes until it was an interview style. I was actually going to cover that. You know, we're the 11th, 12th largest nation when you talk about being consumers. Black people spend over $2.1 trillion now. Not that long ago, it was about 1.5 trillion. So increasingly, we are being conditioned to spend more outside of our community. And the psychology amongst us is that, and we talked a little bit about that in my interview with Malik at the Kwanzaa celebration yesterday, was that how market forces and how we are brainwashed in terms of the ISIS coda conversation. And that's real. We play with it, but, you know, we want to look like them. We want to be them. Their product is better, and it could be the same.
You know, I think at the heart of it all, we talk about white ISIS culture. I think white proximity to whiteness or white acceptance for some people makes them feel like a better Negro. That's just what it is. I don't know. I know.
But economically, it's killing us, and we've talked about this before. Year before last, I participated in the Congressional Black Caucus Wealth Conference, and then the National Black Realtors Conference at Southern University when they did the national. Even though there was a division at SUNO, it was a national conversation. The facts don't lie, so we're not doing better economically. As Claude Anderson predicted that if we didn't change our habits, we would lose our per capita income, our status of value, and we have. But we're losing ground in terms of home ownership, you know. So something hasn't happened to make the numbers go in the right direction in the face of all the information. It's like what you predicted about education, right?
Yeah.
So what is it where we don't act? We continue to act in the same mode of the problems that are highlighted, whether it's economically by Dr. Anderson or educationally by people like you.
I don't know. I just it's hard to I don't want to say recondition, but it's hard to uncondition something and then build it back to something, you know, better or a better version of itself. It's hard, and it makes it that much harder when we have folk who are supposed to be on the same side as us. Sorry, you know, rowing with us that are actually drilling holes and trying to convince us that this is where we ought to be. Right? Why fight it? Why worry about it? You know what I mean?
Let's go to the lines. 504-582-9422. We're talking economics. Ujamaa was one of those principles of cooperative economics. And shout out to B. Mike, and Kev, and Malik, and PAC celebration yesterday. Marley, man. Marley, so proud of you. One of the young featured artists, my niece. So let's get to the line number one. Don, you're on with Dr. Wyatt and OT.
A very good morning. A very good morning.
Happy end of year, Papa.
Yeah, I know y'all getting ready. You know, January 6th ends the Christmas season and it begins Carnival season. And that leads up to Fat Tuesday. I don't have to tell you, you and Dr. Oliver. Yeah. And it leads up to Fat Tuesday, and then the next day Ash Wednesday, which leads into the Lenten season. Okay. But anyway, that's enough of that. You're talking about economics and history, or we don't tie economics to our history enough in this sense. First of all, hats off, our prayers to President Jimmy Carter, 39th president. You know, Jimmy Carter, Miss Lillian Carter is his mother. Her name is Miss Lillian Gordy Carter. The same Gordy that's Berry Gordy of Motown. They're related. Okay. Miss Lillian's great grandfather and Miss Eunice Johnson had a child. And so that's where Gordy comes in, Berry Gordy of Motown. They say Elvis Presley is related too as well, but just look at the Gordy family and you'll see the significance of all the relations. You know, Berry Gordy's daughter married Jermaine Jackson at one time, and Marvin Gaye married Berry Gordy's sister. So anyway, the music, what I'm proposing is we as a community, if we're going to understand the impact that we have culturally, scientifically, economically, we have to understand our own history from its own perspective, from its own ability to stand on its own legs. Okay, it's not because we say it's adjacent to whiteness. It's the opposite. It's whiteness want to be adjacent to blackness, if you will, just for the sake of this comment, because that's why if you look at but anyway, I'm not gonna go into that. It's not blackness want to be adjacent to whiteness, because for instance, a white woman can have a black child, an Asian child, a Hispanic child, an Indian child. A white man can father a black child, a Hispanic child, Asian child. But what other race can mother, give birth, or father a white child? Only a white woman can birth a white child, and only a white man can father a white child. That is the issue.
Okay. Don, as always, man, happy end of year, brother, and you have a happy New Year. God bless you, man. Go ahead, Don.
Listen, I think the also to the way we get caught up in the subsequent conversations to the big conversation. Like the problem we're having with us is that in the spirit of Kwanzaa, right? The whole idea of the principles and how they flow. The very first principle is the unity principle, right? And then when you end Kwanzaa, you end with the faith principle. So I think they're very strategic in how they're lined up. And I think if these principles become practice, then a lot of the questions we're having, a lot of the issues we're facing, they won't feel so out of our reach if we're actually practicing the things that we preach, right? If it's a principle, then it should be built into your everyday way of living. If you're putting it into practice, you should be intentional about patronizing a Black business or supporting a young Black entrepreneur or believing in the dreams of a young Black girl. Like that should be who we are. And oftentimes we stray away from that for the acceptance of what we think can get us there faster. That's where the whole white ISIS colder thing comes from. You think being in community with them is going to somehow make you a better Negro. It's going to make you, the super Negro. You're going to be the Negro in charge of all of the other Negroes. I don't know. But for me, I think in-house conversations have to happen, and people have to put their feelings in their pocket, because a lot of the times we get wrapped up in the emotion of being offended that we can't focus on what the issue is that we're offended about. We need to have in-house conversations. We need to be honest, and we need to work as a collective on the things that matter to us so that we can get back to real community amongst us before we try to be in community with anybody else who doesn't even give two cents about us. But you understand where I'm going with that. That's just how I feel. Let's be real with each other. It's the only way we're going to fix the real problems we having.
Well, you just answered the question in terms of solution. Kwanzaa, the principles of Kwanzaa, are really right on.
Yeah, they can't just be theory, though.
Yeah, but with the question, you use the word
practice. Yes.
Ujame is about control.
Yes.
What level of control do you have on your dollars, your economy?
Yeah.
Your community.
And you control if you log on to Amazon or not.
Right.
You control if you walk into Walmart or not. Right?
Right.
You control that.
Right.
But the conditioning of us is Walmart is right there.
Mm-hmm.
They have everything in there. I don't have to go to 2 stores or 3 stores. I could just go to 1. I could go to Amazon. I don't even have to leave home. I could just log on. It'll come here. So that's the conditioning part. But if you want better, if you want us to change the narrative, you have to start somewhere. And the start can go with, I'm not spending my money where my humanity is not valued. And stick to that. Stick to it. Like I went in Robert's for the first time in my whole entire life. Like whatever I told you, I went. I've never been in that grocery
Which
store before.
one?
The one on, what is that, St. Claude?
St. Claude, in Leesville.
I don't know who owns it. I don't know, but all I know is I don't hear them in the conversation
Roberts
about.
owns Robert.
I don't even know who that is. I don't know who that is. But what I do know is I was trying my best not to go to Walmart. So
Right.
I don't know. And so maybe if I dig a little deeper, I would know. But I was intentional about not going there, and that's how I ended up there. But for me, I've not been in a Rouse's since the insurrection, right?
Right.
I was intentional about doing that, and Rouse's has some of the cleanest stores I've ever seen.
They really have
Their
good
flowers are really beautiful.
They have good product.
But
Good
it's
prices,
like
too.
I'm not going in there if I'm aiding in my own demise, right? You don't even care about me.
Right.
So why I want to spend my money there? So I think whatever little we could do to advance the wholeness of us, that's what we need to be intentional about doing. And stop acting like we don't have the control to do anything. You control where you go spend your money. It's your money.
So we can control that. Then we can also control our thoughts and our actions.
Absolutely.
About us.
Toward each other. Yes.
Yeah, correct. Neely Fuller Jr. talked about it, a new code of conduct.
Mm-hmm.
How we greet each other, how we appreciate each other, how we challenge each other, how we debate each other, and how do we operate within our own mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions Malik asked me yesterday was when he challenged in terms of Black leadership and their contributions. And even though I can cite historically the contributions of African-American public servants and agency heads and what they accomplished and how they opened doors and how they created opportunity, why is it so hard? Why are we so hard on us, you think?
I think it's a layered question in my opinion, because I think being hard on us in some areas is warranted. We need to be hard on us, right? I think when we talk about accountability, I think there is love in wanting to hold you accountable. If I did not care about you doing better or being better or, presenting better, then I would just continue to let you do whatever it is you want to do. So I think we have to be hard on each other in a sense, but when we juxtapose it against other folk, that's a conversation that I don't care to have because that's not any of my business. I hate conversations that censor Black folk and then we juxtapose it against, but the white folk but these folk, that's not none of my business.
That's not apples.
I don't want to have that conversation. I want to be laser focused, because it's another little buzzy word people like to use, on how do we improve? How do we get better for each other? How do we talk to each other in a better way, love each other in a better way, build each other in a better way? And it matters not what other folk are doing, because they're not at the bottom of everything. So why do I need to talk about that?
Let me tell you what I've come up with. And it could be rather trite, maybe, but even as a thinker and someone who loves history and formulas and all of that kind of stuff, right? To me, it's a simple solution. And it's in your book. Yeah, that part of that opening part of your book, there's an answer to everything that we've talked about.
Yep.
Education.
Yep. I'm going to die on that hill. I'm going to die on that hill. I promise you that's literally. Because when you know better, the goal is to do better. Simply because you know better doesn't mean you will do better, but at least you have the better toolbox, right, to do better. There's a choice at that point, but I think for me, it's very, very simple to me. You and me is a us thing, like that, and that's what we got to focus on. I told them at the thing when I spoke, for me, ownership is important, right? Think about the stuff the language you use in terms of ownership, and tell me, don't you treat things better when you associate it with yourself? My car, my house, my kid, my wife, my friends. Doesn't that have like a connotation of you're proud of that, you want to pour into that, you want to love on that, you want to take care of that? So when you talk about the my, if the us becomes my, then we'll treat each other better, we'll do better for each other, we'll look out for each other better, because I have the buy-in with you that I want that to be better because it's a part of me.
I love it when our conversations
saying.
take shape and just think how much better it would be if we looked at it as my community.
Yeah.
We're going to go to break, guys. And when we come back, we'll finish this conversation. What you going to get out the way at the end of the year? What's your New Year's resolution? And we got a great guest, my Mama Asueta Amo Akaman Akun. Asueta Amo Akun, right? She's going to be our guest. We're going to talk about Kwanzaa events. We're right in the middle of it, right? Another shout out to B. Mike and Malik and Kev and their group. Man, what a wonderful Kwanzaa celebration. Ujama yesterday, man. Great opportunity to get over to B. Mike Studios, participate in Kwanzaa. But then again, enjoy Kwanzaa. But Dr. Wyatt used that word. How do we practice those principles? WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about. Our station.
Yeah, yes, it is. We'll be back.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is an impact day. A few scattered showers are possible this morning. We could see redevelopment this afternoon with the potential for a few storms to turn severe. There's a low chance for that. Highs reach the mid to upper 70s. Few showers overnight, lows in the 60s. Saturday is an alert day as we could see tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail as more storms roll through in the afternoon to Sunday morning. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text PEC to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PEC to 321-321. That's PEC to 321-321.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
This is Dr. Jaquil Ross from New Schools for New Orleans, wishing everyone a warm and inviting holiday season.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Conditioning.
We are back. You know, there's a spiritual aspect to what we do. We talk about it all the time in our on-air off-air conversations. And I always, and I used it again yesterday when we talk about brainwashing and social conditioning, I always encourage people to read Tom Burrell's book, Brainwashed, right? If you want to understand one of the most brilliant marketers and advertisers in the world, that was the largest African-American ad agency in the world, had all of the Fortune 100 clients at one time. He's retired. He wrote Brainwash. He talks about how we're conditioned. And I like to use, 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. McDonald's hasn't used that in decades, but I will never forget it because it was bombarded in my mind and my psyche so much that I know it word for word. Well, how we conduct ourselves.
Yes.
What we wear, what we purchase, right? How we act, what types of consumers we are. You're shaped and you're molded. And then we were talking in that, so the education system is set up to create robots, servants.
Yes.
Right. Not for you to be independent thinking, not for you to be mindful of your community, your race, your gender even, where you live. It is so that you will be the ultimate consumer. And right now we are.
Yep. Because the goal for them, they have figured out a way to make you feel like you are not poor, right? It's the goal is to present like you're not impoverished, but you're really, you know what I mean? Like
social media at its best.
Yeah, it's to give you the air that you're not struggling or you're not like robbing Peter and you still can't pay Paul, but that's where you are. And I think a lot of us have bought into that because we want to appear like we have it better than what we have. It's the appearance. It's not the reality of it. It's how it looks. It's not what it really is.
Right.
And so I think that's where we are. We're caught up in worrying about what other poor people think about poor people.
But there's a cliff at the end of the road. So if something doesn't change, then you actually, I was reading something the other day that talks about in a few southern states, indentured servants, right, sharecropping, and in many rural communities, you're kind of getting back to what we thought we got away from.
That's the entire goal of this new, anti-woke movement. With that, they've mastered the art of taking things that are for us and weaponizing them, right? Because we know woke is not. They're not using woke like we're
awake.
No. But I was thinking this morning, I was literally getting ready for work to come here, and I was thinking how they've weaponized words, right? This whole idea to get away from DEI initiatives and things. How come the word patriot has never been weaponized against them, though?
No,
because they don't use patriot in its sense of what it means to be one with this country and honoring this country. They use it in a certain way that a patriot is somebody that's going to, by any means, however that looks, protect white supremacy.
You do know that there was a side of King, Malcolm, and Baldwin that also were weary of liberals, what we call now so-called progressive. They thought that they were not allies who wanted us to be independent, but they thought that liberals were allies as long as we were in our place.
Yeah.
And as long as we were dependent, where they took advantage of the economics and the opportunities within our community on our behalf.
Well, that's what's happening now. Though, think about any Black Power movement, right? The moment that's why I think they inserted this people of color thing to everything Black, because they watch you build the car, they watch you start the engine, and they just jump in there and
just say black.
Roll the
wave.
You
say black and brown.
No, right. But that was intentional, right? Because it makes you not pay attention to the very people who are actually at the bottom. Now it's everybody's issue. No, it's not an everybody issue.
Line number one, Brother Larry, happy end of year and happy New Year, Papa.
And Dr. Wise, y'all have to have a happy Kwanzaa.
Yes.
The 7 principles are some great ones, if we could apply them.
Yes.
Bingo.
I said that once before. When you talk about the borrowing and lending institutions in America, you're talking about the banks, the lending people. And they did a good job of redlining a whole district of people that look like us.
Correct.
So if I'm a young man getting out of school that wants to be an entrepreneur, where do I go to get my monies? It's the key. Where do I go to get the money? I got a great package proposal, a business proposal. I mean, it's flawless. I can't go to traditional lending and borrowing institutions because they haven't been dealing with us. So,
right.
I read an article a few years ago that the Black Negro League baseball teams, the guys that owned the teams were hustlers, gamblers, whatever they did. They went to the underground to get the baseball team. But during that time, black people, that was one of the so-called, the largest time when black people was making money. Because when they come to cities, when they a barnstorm, they had to go to hotels, and they wouldn't let them in the South. In fact, had a hotel in Kenner, the trumpeter, their dad. Mm-hmm. What's the trumpeter? The great trumpeter, Wynton Marsalis' dad. They had to come here and use his hotel. Mm-hmm. So everybody made money. So these people that own the baseball team couldn't go to traditional lending institutions. So I'm asking you and Dr. Wise, where do they go to get their monies? So it's easy to say, yeah, well, look, the banking institutions had one guy that decided to say yay or nay. Right. One thing he do with his own people, if they fail 6 or 7 times, he still get another chance to go there and borrow monies.
Bingo.
He decided for some type of reason, they know each other. They came in contact, not us. I done tried it too many times. So when people talk about stay in your lane, I've been in that lane a while and experienced some of this thing. And even some of the traditional banks that we think is black, look, they have what they call joint venture. Joint venture is where people like your idea, and they invest in it if they get 51% of 49.
But Larry, you're at the heart of it, right? So.
Right.
Yesterday's discussion on Ujamaa was cooperative economics, right? Which I think is a civil rights fight of our time. So I mean, what was it? The data that said 4 out of 5 African American businesses who qualified didn't get PPP loans. Mm-hmm. Look at this whole thing with the Super Bowl. Many of the more traditional African American businessmen and women owned business that have been around didn't even qualify to be part of the whole Super Bowl list or get on the list. How did you leave the ones out that have actually done the work for years?
But the better question is, how do we allow that, though?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Mm-hmm. Most of the small businesses around the Superdome, the people that's been there, and usually predominantly are Caucasians, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they don't have too many black small businesses where people that's going to go patronize them go. So it's like 6 in one hand and half a dozen in another. It's been plaguing me for years. How do we break this yoke around our neck because, Dr. Wise, we could talk about education, which is very important, but if we don't get access to the economic, we be spinning our wheels, sweetheart.
No, but Larry, I'm going to disagree with you there because, right, if you can program, you can reprogram, right? So with all that you just said, if I'm conditioned, right, and if I'm molded to believe and to act and to produce another way, then it doesn't matter what they do. It becomes innate. So the education system develops us in terms of...
You're right
correct.
about it. You're right. My bad. Let me back up. Let me back up a second.
Go ahead.
They got some young people that's graduating from school. See, the social media has opened up doors where they don't have to go to the traditional lending institutions. Mm-hmm. They could create themselves. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. I see that in my son and his friends. They ain't waiting on the traditional banks and lending institutions to go for money. They're creating their own without going to the underground.
And that's a new move. Thank you, Larry, man. We're at the top of the hour, man. Happy New Year.
Right.
God bless you, good brother. We're going to, if you got questions or talk, we'll do. Coming up next is Mama Asaweta Amankum Kwanzaa and the importance of Kwanzaa. When do we get to a point that we start to practice Kwanzaa, not just celebrate it? We'll ask her that after the break. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you, man. WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
Whose station?
Our station.
Yeah, it is our station. We'll be back, guys.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A 67-year-old homeless man is critically injured after being found on fire at New York's Penn Station. He suffered burns to his legs and upper body. The cause of the fire is unclear. The cause of Sunday's deadly plane crash in South Korea is also unclear, and it may take weeks to analyze the black boxes that were recovered. Federal health officials report the first severe bird flu case in Louisiana. In an update, the CDC investigated and found the virus mutated in the patient, but says there's no cause for alarm as it hasn't transmitted person to person. And Wall Street closed with stocks sharply lower. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by 333 points, the S&P 500 dropped by 66 points, and the Nasdaq fell by 298 points. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans wants to send a huge congratulations to all of our educators, students, and families of New Orleans for their continuous academic growth. School performance scores have been released from the state. For the first time in many years, there are no failing schools in New Orleans Public Schools. As a district, our performance increased by 4 points. In addition, Orleans Parish now exceeds pre-COVID school performance score for all students by 6.2 points. When you see a teacher, school leader, or student, be sure to show them some love.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Dr. Shanta Wyatt, OT, and the early bird, Naren on the box, man. Man, it's rare, man, but every now and then we get 2 iconic figures. That's more than one for y'all, right? Man, Mama Vera and Mama Sweater.
It's heavy in here right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, but it's heavy, but it's light.
It's heavy,
right?
but it's light.
And not the opposite of heavy, but the light that shines on our community,
Yes.
man. And I always tell people some of the best people God put on this earth are the ones who put themselves second.
Yep.
Because they put us first. And guys, welcome back to the Good Morning
Thanks
Show.
for having
How
us.
y'all doing? How y'all families are doing?
Well, it's day 5, so we on the downside.
Nia, purpose.
You know, when you're part of the Kwanzaa Coalition, one of the challenges is that you try to make all the Kwanzaas. You try to get out and support and be a support. Sometimes you don't make it, but the effort is there because we really want to make sure that the community sees a constant face. We want Kwanzaa to be all over the city. We want it to be in pockets all over, so people will have no excuse that it was too far, they couldn't get to it.
Mama Sweater, you jumped right into it. How you doing?
I'm
You know, it's always we do a check-in now because, you know, the givers always give, and rarely do we stop them for a moment and have and manifest an energy around how they are. How you doing?
I'm great,
That's
and I'm
good.
grateful,
That's good.
but I'm still busy.
Good.
The
Vera,
work don't stop. It
Vera,
just
how you doing?
I'm grateful too.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to pace myself to, make it through the end of this year and the start of the new year.
And this is the 5th?
And beyond.
Yeah.
Today's Nia.
Today's Nia.
Purpose.
The fifth principle of Kwanzaa.
So for folk who are listening out there who may not know, and we did Ujamaa yesterday over at B Mike Studios. Great conversation. Malik and I had a packed house, young and old. They were all there. But for folk who may not be aware, what is the Kwanzaa celebration, and why is it important?
Well, as you know, in New Orleans, we've been celebrating Kwanzaa since the 70s, the late 70s. The coalition's been organized since the late 80s. And it organized because there were many different organizations wanting to celebrate Kwanzaa, and we felt if we could organize, be under an umbrella, we could support all the organizations. The coalition is not about controlling what your Kwanzaa is. It's just by making it more cohesive so the person who attends can know where everything is, where to go, what's going on. But Kwanzaa is an African-American holiday created by Maulana Karenga back in 1965. 1966. And many people think it's a black Christmas. It's not a black Christmas. It's non-religious. So you can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, you can be into Ifa and celebrate Kwanzaa. But it's really about analyzing where we are as a people and what we need to do to mobilize ourselves by incorporating those 7 principles. Unity, self-determination, familyhood, and cooperative economics.
Today is Nia.
Today is Nia. Purpose. You got to have purpose.
Yes. And listen, I every time I do Kwanzaa, I feel like I learned something new, even though I hear it every single time. I didn't know that the community bookstore was as old as I am. That was just something, I didn't know that. And what are you celebrating, year what, for the community bookstore?
Well, this coming September will be 42 years.
See what I'm saying? Oh, my God.
Nope.
But the first one wasn't no bro.
No.
What was the first one?
In my mama house. In the night
At first he don't know that.
George Ethel Warren's house. My auntie party.
Yeah.
Across the canal.
Across the canal.
Then the back of your car. You sold books in the back of your car.
Yeah.
Then you went over there by
Greenery everywhere. I'd like to shout out Denise Ballard, again, another black woman giving another black woman an opportunity. She had a home-based business in her home, and she allowed me an opportunity to have a space in her place. Then from there, we moved to Treme, then there to Broad. And then our current home on Bayou Road.
Bill Warren Williams Community Book Center, how would I say? I don't want to say the hotbed, but maybe the centerpiece of black or African American thought, right? This portion of the diaspora. When I think about Kwanzaa, I think one of the reasons why it has life or a greater foundation here than most cities is because of you, right? And your role there. In the early days of Kwanzaa, when you were promoting Kwanzaa, when you gave opportunities for Kwanzaa, what's different about now? Because you've been doing it religiously since.
It's smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller, and I think it's smaller because we have less people working. The committee is smaller. Okay. So we are pledging going forward in 2025 that we're going to increase in opportunities for folks to participate and give, and especially incorporating our young people into it. And tonight's program, NIA Purpose, is a youth-led, youth-run program, and we're glad to have one of the co-hosts of the program in the station. Tell them who you are.
Hi, my name is Shariel Clark. I am a co-host along with my partner Amira, and doing youth programs such as hosting open mic nights. It's really fun, and I think it's something great for the youth community. It brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of joy to my work as a poet, as an author, as an actress. It's just something I feel the community needs, a safe space and a quiet night without having to worry about ducking or dodging, fighting off bullets or having to run. Just somewhere safe you can go and express yourself freely.
I'm glad you said that, because when you asked the question about what makes Kwanzaa, how is it changing, is it different? Right. Since I've been dealing with Kwanzaa, we've never had any incidents. Mm-hmm. No security and no incidents. What's different, we used to be at the Municipal Auditorium and fill up the Coca Room. Mm-hmm. That's how Kwanzaa used to roll in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And then from the Coca Room, we rolled to Treme Community Center and filled the gym at the Treme Community Center. So what happens is, as people, we age, we age out. Not that we old, which is seasoned.
Yeah, but when you say we getting old, we can drop together.
Talk to the knees. Talk to the knees.
Right.
Yeah, but in that regard, it has changed. But then again, I don't think it changed for the worse. It's just different now.
Well, how do you see the importance of making certain that the torch is passed, or that the younger generation can pick up where you guys, the foundation you guys have laid down, and to strengthen it, to maybe get back to the days where we were packing the Treme Center and we were packing these bigger facilities?
We have to, in last night's Kwanzaa at the Righteous Heads, sponsored by Uani Oja, that topic came up about intergeneration and what happened, what did our generation fail to do to their generation, and why they're not engaged in voting, why they're not engaged in sitting at the dinner table and eating with us, why they're not engaged just generally speaking, right? So we have the challenge of making sure that they understand that the work is important. See, they look at us and what they said to us was, when y'all was doing that work, y'all was struggling. Y'all was poor. Y'all didn't have, the activists didn't have no money. That's where their head is at, right? So they talked about the bag, how it's not wrong to get the bag and still do the work. They don't understand the sacrifice, putting yourself before you, what your family needs, putting your personal money up. So we have a challenge. We have a challenge, and it's something that exists throughout our entire community. The voting thing came up. Why they're not voting? They felt that leadership failed them. They asked the adults, the older ones, the direct question: show me what your voting got you in all the years that you've been voting. This is what the young people said.
It's a fair question.
A very fair question.
Well, it was a question yesterday that I was one of the speakers yesterday. It was in the interview style. It was a question that Malik asked me. But I'm always prepared for that question because I gave a whole list of accomplishments from black leaders, developed from economically to socially, that we would not have had it not been black leadership. So that is always one of those things that challenge it. But yesterday's event was dominated by young people. It must maybe 150 maybe or more people there. I saw there was so many more young folk there. And has that been intentional to begin to pass the torch so that more young folk understand Kwanzaa celebration, but also the practice of Kwanzaa?
I want to chime in on there. As the committee was planning, different organizations and groups take the responsibility for sponsoring and producing a night. So as the committee were meeting, we had Nia tonight, Purpose, and Kaumba, Creativity, still open on the calendar. And Sharielle and her partner, Amira, had come to the book center earlier and asked if they could do a speak out for the youth so that the youth could have an opportunity to voice themselves and say themselves. And I said, I know exactly how we're going to fill that calendar. We didn't have to do nothing. I wish you would see the program that they put together. And I'll let Sharielle tell you a little bit about how they came together and, tonight's purpose.
Just first they started off with an idea and help from Mama Vera and Mama Jen at the community bookstore. And then
come on, actress.
Yeah, speak it to the mic.
And then just putting it all together. It was, I wouldn't say difficult, but it wasn't as easy as I expected it to be. But then getting people, and I was surprised a lot of you wanted to come and speak their piece, and I was like, oh wow, this is great, this is awesome. And so the part of finding people wasn't as difficult, and as we got the people, it came together. It was amazing. When that happened, it was just something I was like, yeah, the community needs.
So what does Kwanzaa mean to you?
To me, Kwanzaa means family. It means because people back in generations on my dad's side, they support Kwanzaa. So it means family. It means a place for home.
So what can we expect from the youth, a youth-led Kwanzaa night in terms of this speak out? Like what activities or what do you think is going to happen there that you think people should come and see?
I think just coming and see youth, hearing what they have to say, just supporting them in their journey of, coming of age, coming of life, still experiencing that young teenage life, as some say.
Mm-hmm.
Just being there to support, really and true.
No, I was just going to say, I think it also speaks to you guys too, to give them the space and the platform to be able to have their words and their experiences validated, because a lot of the times children don't speak because they don't feel like anybody's actually listening. And so to have an opportunity where you censor their experiences and you validate their experiences, I think that too is empowering to you, to me,
Each principal has a purpose, that there's a mission to be accomplished. And when you look at NIA, NIA is a restoration. Restoring traditional values. How do we use each one? The conversation last night on Ujamaa was about cooperative economics. We talked about Suzu and Ujamaa, which are different. Suzu, of course, is West African and Caribbean, which talks about how they use cooperative economics, where the money went back to the community. Kwanzaa is how we build, and there's a word in Kwanzaa, control, where we know we have lack of control here. But in terms of restoring traditional value and purpose, how do we get back to that youth-led movement, but then those traditional values?
I feel restoring. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That's what we talk about.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel restoring, when you talk about restoring tradition, it all comes back to restoring the community. I feel like as people, we don't come together as a community as we should, or we don't come together as a whole, because a lot of people, even with voting, it was like a lot of people, I know a lot of people that just didn't go because they said, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, why not go? I can't vote. I even want to go. They made me, I was looking at the videos, I was like, man, I wish I could go vote. Like, it's just restoring as a community, making people feel like they can come together. Like, even when just going outside and just going to talk to your neighbor or sit on the porch and say, hey, neighbor, how you doing? How you feeling today? Knowing who you're living next to, going down the street and asking neighbor, do you have some butter? Like, it's community, restoring community so you can restore traditions.
That's good.
Better than good. Better than good.
I also think that we as a people, because that came up last night too, it came up that the family structure has changed, right?
We talked about that.
Some people said the family structure has to change because we're in different times. I pushed back on that. I said, you got to have your core foundational values,
You were listening
right?
to my talk last
Yeah,
night.
I wasn't, but because it's that time for that talk, right? But what I'm feeling is that we have to, first of all, find the ways that we do come together. Because we always say we're not unified. Yes, we are. If you go to a second line, that's Umoja. They're unified. Cooperative economics, they're buying from other black people, selling alcohol, barbecue, sandwiches. That's the principle of Kwanzaa, right? So I think in some ways we have to recognize we do have some ways. But how do we make that energy manifest in times where it really counts?
Well, I know we got to go to break in a minute. They just scheduled a special council meeting for 9:30. Talking about conspiracy, right? But I want to get this out. We hear these negative comments, right? And I always like to use social conditioning. Use Tom Burrell's book, Brainwashed. Or voting doesn't matter, or it doesn't make any difference. But why are those comments always targeted to our community, not other communities? Why are we always the ones who buy into the negative? And in many cases, the principles of Kwanzaa are saying, no, we're going to build on the positives. How do we begin to debunk that?
First, sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
when it comes down to voting and with our community, I feel like our community, especially a lot of people in...
But not just voting, but also supporting black people, being strategic about where your money goes.
It's being educated on what you have to do. It's like...
Y'all been listening to our conversation. Y'all read the book of why it is.
It's just knowing where to put your money and where to support with your money, or it's just knowing who do you vote for. It's kind of the same. Like when you're voting, it's where you put your vote. Your vote is like your money. Where is you putting your money? Who do you believe you can invest in?
1 minute before we go to break.
Well, I was just saying that what has also been overlapping is the consensus that we need to do this more often.
Yes.
And we say Kwanzaa, we say Nguzo Saba,
yes.
365.
Yes.
But having the wherewithal to organize and come together, and Community Book Center, the Nation of Islam, Kumbuka, Nonola, Andre Caillou, all of the people connected, the black social workers have agreed to come and do this more often.
Mm-hmm.
That's the solution. Doc,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to break, and then you're gonna take over and drive this, man. Important conversation. Lord, I wish I could say exceptional young woman, especially with two iconic queens. And you guys are absolutely right. You know, in Nguzo Saba, it's just 7 principles, about 7 days. Dr. White, it's a way of life, right?
Yeah,
Bring us home.
I think, you know, we talked about it too, about Kwanzaa being principle, but I think once we intentionally put those principles into practice, we'll start to see the fruit of our labor, right? That's what has to happen here. You talk about in Nguzo Saba 7 days a week. All we have to do is put the principles into practice and be intentional about making certain that we're uplifting each other in the way we talk, in the way we spend our money, in the way we commune. Everything, every part of it has to be a lived principle.
Re-educate our people.
Absolutely.
WBOK 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about,
Whose station?
our station.
You know it's your station, girl. We'll be back after the break.
Start your day off right.
Just getting your day started.
Early morning gospel on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's today's headlines. The New Orleans Police Department is investigating after a man was shot in the CBD. We're told this happened at Canal and Carondelet Streets just after 2:20 a.m. That's right on the edge of the city's French Quarter. Police say the victim was taken to a nearby hospital. There's no word on that man's condition or a possible suspect at this time. Then local leaders are paying their respects to President Jimmy Carter, who died Sunday at the age of 100. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell says, quote, former President Carter represented the best of the American spirit. His dedication and service to the country, along with his commitment to local communities, will forever stand as a shining legacy in American and world history. And House Majority Leader Steve Scalise celebrated Carter's service in the Navy, the Senate, as Georgia's governor, then in the White House. And you may not know, but Carter and his wife Rosalind helped build homes in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Finally, we are getting a sneak peek of the Louisiana float preparing to roll through Pasadena, California in the Rose Bowl Parade. This year's float theme is Louisiana Saturday Night and will feature a live performance of the popular song. You can see the float and watch the whole parade right here on WDSU. That's New Year's Day beginning at 10 a.m. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
NOLA Public Schools' main round enrollment for kindergarten through 12th grade is now open. With 73 schools available through the NOLA Public Schools Common Application Process, or NCAP, finding the right school fit for your family is easier than ever. List up to 12 choices to maximize your chances and apply by January 24th. We're all in, and we hope you are too. Apply today at enrollnolaps.com. That's enrollnolaps.com. WBOK.com.
Hi, this is Troy Henry, one of the owners of WBOK and Equity Media. And on behalf of myself, my family, and my company, Henry Consulting, we'd like to wish you a very, very, very happy holiday.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashan Sawai. Behind the glass, holding us all together, super producer Nyron Sanders. And in studio with us, we got some heavy hitters, y'all. And the heaviest of the hitters is only in the 10th grade at what school?
Right. George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver, big Ram energy in the building. I think Kevin Griffin Clark will love that. He graduated from Carver as well. So shout out to Carver. What's that, green and orange?
Yes.
Green and orange. Listen, I'm always talking about purple and gold in here, so it's good to sprinkle some more colors up in here.
Well,
But
this is Ron Eagle over here.
listen, you know,
3-5
let me
in
tell
the
you something.
building.
When you start talking about schools and you're anywhere around Eagle, they
That's
will
right.
they will make certain that you know.
Ever
So shout out to
fair,
the Ron Eagles
ever high,
as well.
ever
To my very good friends at Ron Eagles, that is Trees Coward and Miss Alicia Plummer. They
Oh, yeah.
they will not let you get anywhere in a conversation without shouting out their school. So y'all both are Ron Eagles? Yes. Oh my God.
Ever fair, even fairer. Ever high, even higher.
Listen, you see how we could get listen, talk about schools and you know you naturally in New Orleans, baby. Because when somebody asks you what school you went to,
They don't talk about college.
nobody cares.
They don't care
Who
about
cares? Who cares where you went to college, baby? I want to know what high school you went to so I
That's
can know what
right.
neighborhood you come
That's
from, so I can know who your mama and them is.
That's
you know,
right.
that's how that goes.
But we don't go to neighborhood schools anymore.
But see, that's why we have to keep talking about our schools, because there's a certain pride attached to community, like our baby girl was saying, that started with your school and the neighborhood you grew up in. And you could almost count on the school telling you what neighborhood it was, but we don't have that anymore. And that's where a lot of that the school pride is dying down, because our kids just don't have that sibling rivalry we had with our schools. They don't even understand this. So when they hear me talk about Carter the way I do it, when they hear you talk about being around Eagle the way you do it, she's gonna talk about it's just not, it's not the same. So I think talking about community also is talking about making certain we preserve those conversations so that
how do we preserve it when so many of the physical buildings are being sold off? You know, gentrification is manifesting. So I don't even see kids walking to school in my neighborhood because there's no neighborhood school to walk
That's
to.
what I'm saying.
And that's the sad reality of the current state of things. And my question always goes back to, which is why I think Kwanzaa is important, because it's a principle, but it has to be a practice.
Yes.
And if we actually practice the principles of Kwanzaa, we would never allow these things to happen to our schools the way we did. And it almost feels like a lot of us were asleep at the wheel, so to speak, because as I was talking to the folk from Rise St. James when they were here this week, we're fighting so many different struggles on so many different fronts. And it's like you can't even be, collective in this fight, because you're fighting environmental racism over there. We're fighting academic racism over here. You're fighting quality of life racism over there. And it's like, gee, we got all these balls in the air. We can't even focus. And I think for me, that's why Kwanzaa is such a spiritual time, because it's like we could put our burdens down and just celebrate the idea of being communal, celebrate the idea of being Black, loving our Blackness. I think cultivating spaces where the Black experience can be honored, I think is, to me, the Kwanzaa energy. Like when you guys invited me to the first night of Kwanzaa, those babies on that stage dancing almost took me to tears, because I was, and the baby who had the appendage, like her arm.
Right. Oh yeah. That's
But baby, she danced like ain't no
smiling. Like that arm wasn't even missed.
And then the little babies, you can tell that they practice, because babies follow directions. And they were trying to call them off the stage, and all they knew was they was doing what they were taught to do. It was a beautiful thing. And I don't know, I just think being in community with Black people who love Black people, there's an energy there that you cannot fake, because you can feel it. And I know people like to use the word spiritual, but that's what it feels like. it feels like energy is connecting.
But how do we get people, our community people, when you say we have all these irons in the fire that we're fighting, it's usually a small number of people who are dealing with that.
Yes.
And the majority is just sitting back going, I'm just going to try to get mine. I tell all my people all the time, you should be doing something. They got enough issues that you should be working on at least one of these issues.
Yes.
So how do we get our community to understand that you in this fight too?
Ms. Culver-Ram?
I would say to get our community to let them know that you're in this fight as well, we have to approach them like as if it was a second line or as if it was something they seem is important. But we have to show them that these problems that we're facing as youth, as just Black people in the community, show them that this is important as well. This is what we need to focus on. Our education system, our children and their way to home and what's going on with youth mentally, physically. Just show them that, yes, these things are important, but yes, this is what we need to focus on right now.
And I think one of the first steps we could take is talk about what's happening tonight in terms of the Kwanzaa celebration. What's going on tonight?
We are having an open mic night, youth-based. Me and my co-host, Amira, will be doing poetry, singing, music, everything. You want to come out and see, it'll be great, and it will be a youth experience. So definitely.
I also think that they have a artist, a sculptural artist that's doing a presentation of a piece. So it's going to be just young people doing their thing.
And then off air, I heard, Vera, that you say you guys were also honoring Nikki Giovanni in some way.
That's on tomorrow.
On tomorrow night.
Kuumba. Early, 12 noon. So we wanted to do it early, just, throughout the day. Both activities are going to be at Community Book Center, 2523 Bayou Road. And so we have
So the youth speak out that's happening tonight is happening at Community Book Center.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. And all of those, everything you'll see tonight will be youth-led, youth-driven. Every speaker, every poet, every person speaking out will be youth.
Yes.
A part of the youth. I think that is so powerful. I think I always tell folk, we have to make certain that we're listening to the children.
Yes.
Because a lot of the solutions are, it's not like a Rubik's Cube. It's quite simple when you listen to those people who are closely impacted by the issues. And when we're talking about youth violence, and we were talking about our school system and us not liking the way it is, I think we talk to children to see what their lived experiences are. And I think giving a platform to kids to be able to speak out and voice their concerns and to use their art to be their voice, I think it's such an incredible thing. I'm going to try to make it my business to come and check you out and make certain that I'm there to support. I think what you guys are doing is wonderful. I enjoy Kwanzaa every single year, but I'm hoping that there's a way where we can infuse Kwanzaa into our daily way of living intentionally every single day.
Well, when we have committed, me and Vera and Malik talked about it, we are going to host quarterly, we're not going to say every month, but at least quarterly gatherings where we come together and we just come together and discuss these issues because that's what the community is saying that they want. It's a start. That is the beginning. That's a start.
And I also was thinking, too, and what do you guys think about the idea of when we talk about being intentional with our money, right, and making certain, Olive and I were talking prior to your set, that our money does not stay in our community long enough. And sometimes it's the education of just not knowing where to go for the item that you're looking for. And I know there's always a list of like Black-owned businesses, but what if we created a list of actual products and we list the places where you can go get those products? So is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, McKenna Publishing has put together the Welcome Guide, which is welcoming all of us to spend money in our own community. So I think that that's an important tool. It's also available online, welcomeneworleans.com. But I think that by example.
Yes.
By example. I tell folks all the time, as much as you can, as often as you can, try to put your money in a hand that looks like yours.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's simple.
Be intentional about
Intentionally.
it. Be intentional about it. Yes.
Intentionally.
I'm very intentional about stores that I don't shop at. I make it my point. I don't shop there. I can do that. Like, I make sure that whatever I wear, like I can tell you everything I got on the day except for my tennis shoes was purchased by somebody black.
That's right.
Everything that I wear, my jewelry, it's not just jewelry for jewelry's sake. It's meaning made by somebody black, right? I understand that everybody has a different aesthetic.
Yes.
And that's what we do. Everybody don't want to, you don't have to, the concept of Africanness doesn't mean you always wear a gele. That's not how Africans always are. So I think the educational piece is very important because people think, oh, to come to Kwanzaa, I got to have an African shirt on. No, you don't. You do not. You can wear a T-shirt, you can wear whatever you feel comfortable in. But I think it's about prejudging. We got some work to do with ourselves because the so-called woke people prejudge people who not woke from their perspective based on how their hair is or what kind of clothes they got on, and none of that is actually really relevant because it's about the work that you do and your commitment to what you do. And so I just think that we really got to come together more regular so we can break these walls down instead of having these conversations like the Nation of Islam. I mean, the groups that sponsor Nation of Islam, Marcus Garvey Committee, Kulu African Dance, Community Book Center, the Moja Committee.
Deltas.
Huh?
The Deltas.
The Deltas.
Black
Wani Oja, the Black. These are all good groups doing work out there. They all have their followings. But everybody do the work, then they go back. We gotta find a way to get them to come back together so that we can really get to the bottom of these issues that we have. Because I think we can do it. I want to see in my lifetime that we mend these broken bones, I want to see that.
I just want to bring our attention to tomorrow, the tribute to Nikki Giovanni, which is key and critical to acknowledge the iconic genius of
she was a straight shooter.
Exactly. But we have Christiana Ray Colon, Shakandria Icon, Sibley, as well as others who will be presenting poems by Nikki Giovanni as well as their own original work. And we may do a couple of clips. But Wednesday, the last day of Kwanzaa, Faith Imani is going to be at the Andre Caillou Center, and that whole theme is health and wellness. And we're going to have Dr. Jasmine Holmes with We Grow Everything We Touch. She's a pediatrician, and she has an organization designed to change the health outcomes of our community, particularly with our babies. And also Dr. Renee Hickson will be doing a workshop on knowing your numbers, blood pressure, A1C, BMI, all of that. We need to know what our numbers are and maintain that and start off on a healthy. Dr. Holmes is going to be talking about sugar and salt and other things in our diet that are harmful to developing minds, as well as seasoned minds and stuff. So we also have Move, Baby Move, doing chair exercises. Greer Golf, Mindy, and Lala doing Afrobeat. So we're gonna have movement and all kind of other exercises. So and that's at the Andre Caillou Center. It starts at 1:00 on New Year's Day. So we give people a chance to
sleep it off.
And tomorrow we're gonna do it early so that you'll have an opportunity to get home or wherever you want to get before it gets too late.
And we were talking about something that I think is important. So before we go to break, I want to go back to it. How important is it? And I know you know it's important because you guys are doing it and building up our future leaders. But we have to talk about making certain that when that torch is passed, they have the historical context of why this is important to continue to do. Because what a lot of us don't realize is we have walking history all around us with Jerome Big Duck. Like we have people who are walking exemplars of history, and our children don't even know who they are. Exactly. What do we do to connect that divide and make certain that everything that you are to this community doesn't go when you transition into being an ancestor? Everything that you are to this community doesn't go when you transition. How do we make certain that we're putting that in the next generation to make certain that that continues to live?
I just want to say that as the Kwanzaa Coalition has committed to doing quarterly activities, Community Book Center has also committed, along with other partners, to ensure that we pass these stories on. We did a program in partnership with Newcomb Art Museum at Tulane this summer called Story Keepers for young people ages 13 to 16 to share and to learn the stories of members of their family and members of the community. Just as you said, we got giants like Big Duck and Dodie walking around. So what we're going to be doing in conjunction with the Story Keepers is a series called Ordinary People. Ordinary people. Let's talk to, let's learn about, let's celebrate ordinary people. You know, we big into celebrity and all of that other stuff, and then overlook the talent and the goal right in our own communities. So stay tuned for that. And a lot of ordinary people are young people.
Who are really extraordinary.
Yes,
extraordinary.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. And so listen, on the other side of the break, we'll have more with the Kwanzaa Coalition and our youth superstar graduate of, well, she's going to be a graduate of the George Washington Carver High School. She's in the 10th grade, and she is, I don't know if you could see her, y'all, but her skin is beautiful.
Thank you.
She has some beautiful skin, beautiful young lady, and I think the future is safe in her hands. So stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is an impact day. A few scattered showers are possible this morning. We could see redevelopment this afternoon with the potential for a few storms to turn severe. There's a low chance for that. Highs reach the mid to upper 70s. Few showers overnight, lows in the 60s. Saturday is an alert day as we could see tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail as more storms roll through in the afternoon to Sunday morning. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK 1230 AM and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Well, look who it is. We all love a surprise, but not if it's flu or COVID. If you're 65 or older, vaccines are your best defense against severe flu and COVID this fall and winter. Getting both vaccines helps protect you from severe illness and also cuts your hospitalization risk in half. This season, protect yourself. Surprise! So the surprises you get are the good ones. Risk less, do more. Get started at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, this is Wendell Pierce, partner at WBOK. And I'd like to wish you and your family a very happy holiday season. From all of us here at WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to longer.
Hey, everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Super producer Naira Sanders is behind the glass, holding us all together. In studio with me is none other than the Kwanzaa Coalition with Mama Vera, Mama Asatawa, and what's your name, young lady?
Sheriel Clark.
Sheriel Clark. And you have a partner in this fight, right?
Yes, ma'am. Americiante. Hi, guys.
And they're
Hi, Mara.
hosting Kwanzaa tonight, right? What time is Kwanzaa tonight?
6 p.m. Please come out and support our youth community. It's full of beautiful art. We have a lot of people showing their expression, the way they express their feelings, their emotions, what they have to say, and their artistry just in general. So please come out and support our youth.
And so when we were on break, we were having this conversation about intergenerational relationships and collaboration and how certain generations didn't feel as empowered to speak as other generations. And I think that is what's so powerful about this new generation of children, because they don't need any help. They don't need any help voicing their opinions. And I think it's important for the youth of today to understand the cultural relativeness in terms of why certain people didn't feel empowered to speak. Because I know when I came up in my family, it was almost taboo to ask why.
Yes.
To an adult. If an adult says something, it was almost taboo to say anything back other than yes, ma'am, right? Because anything else will be deemed disrespectful.
Exactly.
And it almost kind of put a muzzle on your idea of being able to have a voice or have an opinion. And so I think what is happening with the youth of today is that's vastly different, especially with this boom in social media where you can just press a button and just let it all come out. And I think this is I think there's a happy medium in between being able to have self-expression, but also being respectful in the way that it's expressed, and also for the elders to give the youth the opportunity and the space for self-expression. So I think that's what's happening. That's the beautiful thing about what is happening with the Youth Kwanzaa-led night, is because you have the platform, you have the permission from your elders to be able to put this on and to speak. So it's like nobody feels like you're disrespecting by having a voice. Nobody feels muzzled because they have an actual safe space to speak. So I think that's what's so, I don't think y'all know how powerful it is to give children the okay and the green light to say what needs to be said in their way. Nobody's like putting parameters on it in terms of say it like this or present it like this. I think that is extremely powerful. So I want you to galvanize the people, encourage them to come out tonight, 6 p.m.
Yeah, guys. I feel like when you give youth the opportunity to do something, especially in today's generation, I feel like we're just gonna make it better. We're gonna
They're gonna make it better.
not in that way, but I feel like we're just awesome. So I feel like once you take it, once you pass us the torch, we're gonna start a whole.
That's what I'm talking.
We're gonna light a bunch of torches. I feel, especially in my age, kids my age, when they know what they're doing, they feel safe, they feel comfortable enough to say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I feel like then that's when you have a warm space. You have allowed youth, as I call it. I say allowed youth because they feel they can express what they have to say freely and loud. So,
did you hear what she said? She said when you pass the torch, they can light multiple torches, is what she said.
Like that little one thing you passing on, we about to multiply. We about to make that happen.
Yes, I don't know where you found her, but I like her.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
I would like to say too, that's important in terms of allowing our youth to speak out and feeling comfortable that what they say and what they do is respectful and guided on some kind of principles. I like to shout out the parents, because oftentimes children learn where they live. And so it's obvious that these young people have supportive parents who are giving them support and guidance and encouraging them. I know Amira's mom and Shariel's mom, both. When they did the youth speak out before, they had it up. They had catering, all of that planned out, laid out.
Shout out to the moms.
Shout
Definitely.
They got to run the show.
And the thing
they got to run the show tonight. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it's so beautiful, Mama Vera, that you said that, because so often everybody's like, it's always punitive when we talk about parents now in terms of what the current state of youth are in our city, and it's always the parents. And part of the conversation the first night that I spoke at Kwanzaa, the point that I was making is we're always having expectations for folk who we don't even know what their scope of experience is. Like, just because I gave birth to a baby doesn't make me effective in parenting, especially when I've had no example or no training or nobody to help nurture and teach me. So I'm pretty much doing the best I can with the limited amount of information and resources that I do have. And that was the point. So when you have a parent such as this young lady's mom and the other young lady's mom you were talking about, they should not be the exception. That should be the rule in our community.
That's right.
Because what has to happen is that's why living the principles of Kwanzaa is so important, because we are a communal people. Whatever I have and knowledge I have, I'm supposed to be able to share it with you and help grow you, as opposed to sitting over here with all of my knowledge and criticizing you for not knowing or not having it.
Exactly.
A lot of adults are only adults in the fact that they made extra birthdays. Right. They're not adults in the experiences of understanding how to matriculate through this world in a responsible way. They've not learned it. And we're holding them to a standard that they might not be able to be able to realize without our help or without our community or without our assistance. And I want us to get back to a place where we are communal in a way that we're helping each other realize our fullest potential, as opposed to criticizing each other for not getting there as fast as you and I did. Right, but we had help. Nobody can do this world alone.
We talk about this.
That's where, that's where the village comes in. Like, where your family, if you don't even have family, the village, your community. Right. Like, Mama Jen and Mama Vera, they are my community. They're my village. My mom, my dad, my sisters, my family, that's my village. So if I feel like my mom don't have the answer, I'll call my dad. If I feel like my dad don't have the answer, I'll call my sister. I'll call my village if I need them. People I can go to, people I feel comfortable enough to go to. And with the love I've been having, I have a full village. I have multiple people all over. So I have a village that makes me feel warm, that encourage me, that motivates me, that push me to be my best self.
And I think that's too, Mama. That's why I want you to go, because I didn't want to stop your thought. But that's to me, the heart of Kwanzaa is making certain that the community knows where to find community. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like any child or any person who is looking for self or needs that support or whatever, I feel like Bayou Road is where you start there. Because you're going to find somebody there that's going to help you. And if you want it straight, no chaser, you ask Mama Jen. If you want it with a little more finesse on it, ask Mama Vera. You got to know who you can go to. And I think that's the foundation of it all. Kids have to know that there is a village out there. Kids have to know that there are safe spaces out there. They just have to know where the resources are. What do you think about that, Mama?
I think that's very important. I know when I reflect on me being a parent, like my daughter's 41, but now I'm a grandmother of a 15-year-old who's a 10th grader and an almost 2-year-old. And that parenting style is so different, right?
Yeah, because y'all forget when y'all get grandbabies. Y'all forget all the rules and regulations and all the protocols.
Grandbabies take your heart. That's just how it go, you know. But I do think the focus about the village is extremely important. I don't know if all kids have that village. See, that's the thing. I know my kids had the village. She go over there. She makes deals with them. I don't even know nothing about it. Because that's how the village rolls.
But you
right?
can't say no to Mama Vera. I don't know what it is when she asks you something. It's almost like you got to be like, yes, ma'am. Like you just do it. And for that reason alone, Mama Vera, I'm going to give you the last say before we go. Take the people, tell them what's going on for Kwanzaa tonight and tomorrow through the end of Kwanzaa, what experiences are happening.
Well, tonight, our youth speaking out, 6 p.m., 2523 Bayou Road on the Bayou. And also tomorrow, 12 noon, a tribute to Nikki Giovanni. And on Wednesday, which is Imani, January 1st, beginning at 1 o'clock, we will have health and wellness activities going on at the Andre Caillou. It's going to be movement, information about nutrition, information about where you can receive resources in the community if you're not able to. And so there's a lot of things that are going to be happening. And I think what's key and critical is in one of the lines in See for Praise by M. Tamiji St. Julian is that people are more important than possessions. Mm-hmm. And I think that principle has to be more important than power. And I think that when we put that together and live it in our community, you know, be about what we talk about, then I think that our communities will grow. Our young people will feel comfortable. They'll feel safe, and they'll gravitate to us. We have a lot of young people just come to the bookstore just to be there, you know, because they know they're accepted and they know that they have, you know, that space.
Well, there you have it. We're going to leave it right there with Mama Vera. She said people more important than possessions, and principle is more important than power. I want to invite you to the front porch. Up next, we're grilling and Kimball, but please get out and support Kwanzaa. The 5th night of Kwanzaa is near Purpose, right on Bayou Road, y'all. I will see y'all another time, but happy Kwanzaa. Right. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. This is WBOK 1230 AM. See you later.
Peace. That was nice.